The silence. That damned silence that roars louder than any explosion. That's how Thomas Shelby returned from the war. Decorated, yes. Alive, yes. But dead inside. The trenches didn't just take lives, they tore out souls. In the darkness, between mud, blood, and screams, he learned a truth few are willing to face. Life is not fair. The world has no mercy. And if you want to survive, you must become something stronger than death itself. When he came back to Birmingham, many saw him as a hero. But inside there was only rubble. Nightmares. Insomnia. The emptiness left by fallen brothers. The kind of pain that breaks a man forever. But Tommy did not break. He rose each day with sunken eyes, with a head full of ghosts, with a body trembling from memories. And still he worked. Still he planned. Still he decided that if hell couldn't destroy him, nothing on earth ever would. Do you know what that means? The war forged him into something colder, more calculated, more lethal. The war stripped away his innocence but gave him something few men ever possess. An unstoppable resilience. Thomas Shelby didn't return to be a victim. He returned to build an empire with hands stained in mud and gunpowder. Because he understood that pain wasn't meant to bury him, it was meant to drive him. That his scars weren't chains, they were wings. Look closely. The world expects pain to make you weak. For wounds to keep you on your knees. For trauma to silence you. But the truth is this. That pain can become your fuel. Every hidden tear, every sleepless night, every defeat that promised to destroy you, all of it is proof that you're still standing. Proof that if you survived your personal war, there is no obstacle in this world that can bring you down. Trauma can sink you or it can make you unstoppable. The difference lies in your choice. Thomas Shelby chose to rise, even when he had no reason to. He chose to keep fighting even when he was broken inside. And that is the greatest act of strength a man can show. Your pain is not your sentence, it is your engine. The scars you carry are not marks of weakness, but proof that you've survived battles most wouldn't endure. Do not hide your past. Do not run from your wounds. Face them. Accept them. And turn them into the force that drives you forward. No matter how dark your past has been, if you crawled out of that hell, nothing and no one in this world can stop you. Pain was the fire that forged him. But fire alone is not enough. Thomas Shelby understood that survival was never enough. What is the point of breathing if you remain trapped in misery? The war made him strong, but Birmingham was a battlefield of its own. Streets choked with smoke, poverty, illegal bets, corruption at every corner. Life wanted him to return as just another worker, another cog in the machine. But Tommy Shelby refused to be a cog in any system that despised him. That pain that consumed him, that darkness that haunted him, turned into ambition, into hunger, into a savage need to seize what life never intended to give him. It wasn't just about money. Money is a tool, never the goal. What Thomas wanted was power. Power to control. Power to decide. Power so that no one could ever treat him as a disposable pawn again. He wanted to climb every rung even if it dripped with blood. He wanted to build an empire from the dirt of the streets to the heights of politics. And he wasn't going to ask permission. He wasn't going to wait for respect. He was going to take it with his own hands. Because here's the truth few will ever accept. The world does not respect the weak. The world does not bow to beggars. The world only obeys the man willing to take what he desires without flinching. Thomas Shelby made ambition his religion. Every deal, every enemy crushed, every blow that left him still standing. It was all another step up that endless staircase called power. And here lies the link to his inner war. The man who no longer fears death no longer fears life. The soldier who came back empty now had purpose. If he couldn't kill his demons, he would use them. He would turn them into the fire that drove him to dominate his world. Ambition is not your enemy, it is your spark. It is not arrogance to want more. It is cowardice to settle for less than you could be. If life wants you small, devour that life until nothing remains that can contain you. Do not apologize for your hunger. Do not be ashamed of it. Ambition is the language of those who refuse to be forgotten. If pain was the beginning, ambition will be the path. Walk without fear. This world belongs to those who dare to take it. But power alone was never enough. Money could buy silence, respect, even fear. But there was one thing no gold in the world could replace. Blood. Thomas Shelby carried more than his own fate. He carried the dreams, the fears, the survival of an entire family. Brothers, cousins, children. Every decision he made wasn't just for him. It was for all the Shelbys. That was the difference. Ambition pushed him upward, yes. But what held him up when the weight was unbearable was family. And here lies the paradox. Family was his greatest strength, but also his curse. Every betrayal, every enemy, every strike against them dragged him deeper into darkness. But it never stopped him. It only made him more dangerous. Because a man who fights for himself can grow tired. But a man who fights for his blood never quits. Tommy understood his life no longer belonged to him. He was the shield. He was the sword. He was the one who had to carve the path, even if it cost him his own blood. That is what so many fail to understand. A true leader is not driven by ego, he is driven by love. And love is not always gentle. Sometimes love is ruthless. Sometimes love is violent. That is why every enemy who rose against a Shelby found Thomas standing in their way. That is why he sacrificed his peace, his sanity, even his soul, if it meant his family would endure. That was his purest engine. Power gave meaning to his ambition. But family gave him reason to breathe. Your strength multiplies when you no longer fight just for yourself. When every step you take carries the dreams of those you love, no obstacle can stop you. True love is not weakness. It is the most lethal weapon you will ever wield. Find those you would die to protect and never retreat for them. The world will try to break you, but if you carry your family with you, you will be unbreakable. Money, power, family. Even that was not enough. Thomas Shelby did not want to be remembered as a gangster from Birmingham. He wanted a seat at the table of kings. He wanted respect, influence. He wanted to turn fear into legitimate power. Because alleys can give you control, yes, but they also condemn you. Blood on your hands brings glory but never legacy. Tommy knew this. If he wanted the Shelbys to stop being seen as cutthroats with blades, he had to cross the line. So he looked upward toward politics, toward business, toward the halls where nations are shaped. He wasn't satisfied with ruling streets. He wanted to rule the rooms where the fate of thousands is decided. But here was the contradiction that consumed him. The more he sought redemption, the dirtier he had to play. The more he wanted to cleanse himself, the more blood he had to spill. Clean power is an illusion. Politics is just another war. Only the bullets are disguised as votes. Thomas Shelby understood this truth and embraced it. He knew he could never erase his past, but he could transform it into something greater. A story where his name meant not just fear, but respect. It wasn't empty ambition. It was survival at another level. If once he fought to keep his family from starving, now he fought so their name would never again be spoken with shame. He wanted the Shelbys on the same level as aristocrats, bankers, politicians. And he wasn't asking permission. He was breaking the door down. Because here is the lesson. The world will never hand you a seat at the table of the powerful. You must rip it out even if it costs you your soul. Your past does not define you, it drives you. No matter where you come from, if you are willing to play colder, harder, smarter than anyone else, you can rewrite your story. Never forget, life is not just about survival. It is about elevating your name, about leaving a mark that endures. Do not excuse your scars, make them your signature. Redemption is not erasing your history. It is transforming it into power. The world knew Thomas Shelby as a man of steel, a cold strategist, a relentless leader, a gangster turned politician. But behind that frozen stare was a truth no one wanted to face. Tommy's deadliest enemy was never another gangster, never a cop, never a politician. It was himself. The nights were his real battlefield. When silence fell, the screams returned. The blood, the ghosts of every choice he had made. He could break any man before him, but he could not escape his own mind. And that is the paradox of strong men. The world sees them as indestructible, while inside they fight wars no one sees. Tommy battled the void, the voice that dragged him to the edge, the secret desire to disappear. More than once, death sat at his table like an old friend, but he never gave it the last word. Why? Because even broken, he understood one brutal truth. The real battle is not against enemies you can touch. The real battle is against the part of you that wants to quit. Against the voice that whispers there is no reason to continue. Thomas Shelby kept breathing not because he was free of demons, but because he chose to use them as fuel. The darkness that could drown him, he turned into strength to climb higher. The emptiness that could kill him, he turned into hunger that kept him alive. And here is the harshest lesson of all. It does not matter how many enemies you crush on the outside. If you do not defeat the ones inside, you will always be lost. But if you conquer them, if you turn your pain into discipline, your emptiness into ambition, your darkness into power, then nothing in this world will ever stop you. Your greatest enemy is not outside. It lives in your mind. If you win that war, everything else is easy. True strength is not living without demons. It is learning to ride with them and to keep moving forward. Do not run from your shadow. Face it. Accept it. Make it your ally. Life is not about being perfect. It is about being unbreakable. And only those who win the war within can ever claim that.